Okay, we are joined now by a key spokesman for small businesses in this country, Dan Kelly, the president and CEO of the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Dan, thanks for joining us on What's a Busy Day. What are your members saying about today, now that this tariff situation has developed into an unfortunate reality?
Oh gosh, this is just brutal. I started the day giving a speech to a group of car wash owners. And you wouldn't think on the surface that that would be a group deeply affected by a tariff battle, but sure enough, they are. One guy raised his hand to say that 95% of the inputs in his car wash come from the U.S., the chemicals that are used, the equipment and machinery. And of course, many of those goods may be very soon subject to Canada's retaliatory tariffs against U.S. products. So this is big.
How many, that's an interesting illustration, how many of your members are significantly exposed to the United States, either as a source of crucial inputs like that car wash owner, or as a place where they sell their products? I ask that because many people might assume that a small business is more domestically focused.
Indeed, and in fact, that's a wrong assumption. It's about 16% of small firms, our members at CFIB, directly export to the United States, but almost half, 47%, import from the U.S. And for small businesses, of course, many of them are going to be affected directly or indirectly by the U.S. tariffs, but even more will be affected by Canada's retaliatory tariffs. And that's where the rubber hits the road for a lot of small firms. And that is, of course, unfortunately, where it really hits hard for consumers, as most business owners are saying they have nothing left to be able to insulate consumers from the impact that tariffs will have on their own pricing.
The CFIB wants Parliament recalled immediately, notwithstanding the leadership situation with the Liberal Party. What do you want the federal government to do?
Look, we need some, with the great political uncertainty that we have right now and the economic uncertainty created by U.S. tariffs, at least we can get some policy certainty on a variety of files. I am encouraged to see what's happening on internal trade among provincial governments. There's been some real serious progress on that for the first time in forever. But at the federal level, we need some passage quickly of some legislation. One, to drop some of the tax hikes that are in the works, like the carbon tax increase on April the 1st. We need government to pass the increase in the lifetime capital gains exemption that was promised and was winding its way through Parliament. Also, there's a carbon rebate that $2.5 billion that went out to small businesses, and the CRA says until Parliament passes the legislation, they're going to be imposing tax on that. These are some of the things that we need Parliament to be able to fix so that business owners at least have a little bit of certainty over at least a portion of their dealings with the federal government.
Okay, you mentioned interprovincial trade barriers. Are you optimistic? There has been so much discussion on this and numerous false starts. Do you think Canada's really on the verge now of doing something about trade restrictions within the very country?
Look, I have been Charlie Brown on this file for 30 years, always excited whenever somebody announces they're going to do something, and the ball's been snatched away more times than I care to remember. But this does seem like something that is serious. We're particularly encouraged by the commitment on the part of Nova Scotia Premier, by the Nova Scotia Premier. He has proposed to essentially adopt every other province's rules and regulations as if they were Nova Scotia's, if other provinces reciprocate. And Ontario Premier Doug Ford said during the campaign that he would do just that. If that happens in one fell swoop, we could address massive, massive numbers of interprovincial trade barriers. These are tiny policy differences that gum up the systems, add to costs without any value or protection to the environment or safety. And so I am encouraged to see more provinces looking at kind of broad strokes to kind of get through this, as opposed to, creating 1,000 committees to sit around for 6 months.
Some Canadian economists, as they build models and assumptions about this situation, are building in a base case scenario in which the tariffs last for at least 12 months. How long would it take a small business to adapt, to find ways to pivot if tariffs endure for a full year?
Yeah, look, we've surveyed our members on that very question, and the numbers shocked me. 20%, a full 20% of small business owners say that they will not last 3 months with significant U.S. tariffs in place. That's how serious this is for so many. And we have to keep in mind that a lot of small firms are still, even 5 years out after the anniversary of the pandemic, which is coming soon, 5 years out, many of them are dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars of leftover pandemic debt. And that is sadly dragging many of them down. So these, a strong wind could blow down a bunch of small businesses right now, let alone something as fundamental as this tariff battle that we're engaging in with the U.S.
Dan Kelly, thanks a great deal for your insight, President and CEO of the Canadian